Good morning, Hampton Roads. How's everybody doing today? And welcome to Virginia's only local real estate investing podcast, where we get to talk about local investors, local deals, and all things local. I'm your host, the founder of the Master Investor Academy and author of my best-selling book, Work Just Gets in the Way of Making Money, Scott Jelinek. If you have any questions, comments, things you'd like to discuss, properties you'd like to sell, you can go ahead and text me direct at 757-699-4227. That's 757-699-4227. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them right here on the podcast. So let's see. We'll start with, it's a beautiful day today. Beautiful day. I think it's Tuesday, sunny, 55. It's a great day to be out and about today. I actually am finishing this and heading over to Newport News to meet one of my coaching partners to look at one of their new slow flips. I'm sure I will shoot a video while I'm out there, so you can look for that as well. So last night, what happened? Before I had my meeting yesterday, I went over to Chick's over right off Shore Drive. If you guys haven't been there, they have fantastic fried shrimp there. It was unbelievable. I just, hung out. I had to meet a couple people real quick before I came back home. But before I get into what I want to talk about today, I want to tell you about two interesting things that happened yesterday. So one of them is I had an appointment yesterday in Norfolk with one of my coaching partners, and we had set it up, and I believe I might have even talked about it yesterday. I was leaving straight from doing this to go out and go on that appointment with him. Well, as I get there, I'm driving up to the house, and I look at it, and I'm like, I know this house. I've been here before. And so I drive past it. I'm always about 30 minutes early, and then I drive the comps, and I'll do a little deal machine while I'm in the area. So I pull around the corner, and then I type in the address in my email search just to see if anything's come up. Well, not only have I been to that house before, I actually had a contract on that house before, over a year ago. And then I started going through all my notes as to whatever happened with it. And it turned out there was some major title issues. And the guy who was selling it didn't actually even have authority to sell it. It was an inheritance through an estate, and it was a disaster. Well, anyway, so we still went on the appointment, and it looks as though they may have cleared up that stuff from a year and a half ago. And so my guy's working with him right now on doing a contract on it. So hopefully that all gets settled today. But I was really thinking about how interesting it was that, as I pulled up, I was like, wait a second, I know this house. And not only have I been there before, I actually had a contract on it before. And then it all fell apart. The second thing I wanted to tell you about, and this wasn't me personally, this is one of my guys, and this is a first. This has never actually happened to me before. I had something similar, but not exactly like this. So two of my guys yesterday, well, actually the day before yesterday, they went on an appointment. It was a great appointment. The guy told them what he wanted. We conversed all night. We did research, and we were able to pay what the guy wanted. So we didn't even have to negotiate. We didn't have to make a low offer. We were able to pay what he was asking. So they called him back yesterday morning and said, yep, we're good. We can pay the price you're asking. When are you free? We're going to head over and we'll do the paperwork. So they wrote up the contracts. I checked everything out with them to make sure everything was proper and done perfectly. They wrote it up. They drove over to his house, which was about a 30-minute drive from where they were. They meet with him. They sit down in the living room. Real nice guy. They have great rapport. They're getting along great, doing the paperwork. And then all of a sudden, his daughter comes in. Mind you, this guy might have been in his 80s or 90s. I don't know. His daughter walks in and starts yelling at them, saying, "Who are you? He's not selling anything. He has dementia. He's not allowed to do anything. Get out of my house." And she starts screaming at them to get out of the house. They do, obviously. They abruptly leave. The old man didn't say a word anymore. And so it was an interesting scenario. So they left, and we spoke. And now he's going to try to reconnect contact with the daughter to find out if in fact they do want to, if she does want to sell, or if that was, all a scam. We don't really know. The guy, they said, seemed very lucid. He remembered everything about the conversation. He remembered everything about them, everything they talked about, but that doesn't mean anything. If you guys have ever dealt with that, sometimes you can go weeks and be perfect and then have bouts of it. So they're not pursuing it any further, obviously, directly with him. We are going to try and still make contact with the daughter and see if, in fact, the daughter wants to sell. But it was most definitely an interesting situation. I'm not sure if anybody's ever been on a situation like that before, where one person's selling and then someone else just comes in and crazy and screaming, "Get out of the house. No, we're not selling." So wanted to share that with you. If you've ever had a scenario like that, text me. Let's talk about it. I'd love to hear about it. And so it was a first, or at least exactly like that. It was a first. And unfortunately for these guys, they're still fairly new. And so it was a really good deal for them. They were going to do well on them. And I hate that it just gets pulled right out from them. But these things happen. This is a numbers game and a people business. The more appointments you do, the more people you meet with, the more deals you're going to do. And they know that. And so it's just a matter of moving forward. So what I wanted to talk about today, and this will be brief, but I got a text from somebody I was speaking with who is in Virginia, but has been wanting to get into real estate investing and is excited to get started, doesn't have a lot of money to get started. And the last text he sent me, and I did not respond to it yet, so I hope he's still listening because this is my response to it. So the last text he sent said, "What qualifications do I need to get started?" And so this was as a real estate investor. What qualifications do I need to get started as a real estate investor? And I didn't answer it because it was a hard one to answer, because the reality is, and this is what I try and drive home with people, there are no qualifications. Basically, the hardest part, and I talk about this in my live events, but the hardest part of being a real estate investor, and this is me answering you, the hardest part is to decide. That's it, to make a firm decision that this is what you do. And people say, well, how can I decide if I don't know I'm able to do it? And that's why you won't be able to do it if you don't decide. You have to decide. Once you decide, your answers to your questions get so much easier, because before you make a firm decision, your questions are always going to be questions that can't be answered, like, should I do it or shouldn't I do it? Is this going to work? Is this a bad idea? Is this a good idea? Those questions can't be answered. Once you make a firm decision, this is what you do. I am a real estate investor. Even if you've never invested, you made a decision, this is what I'm going to do. Now all the questions change to questions that can be answered, such as, how do I find a motivated seller? How do I fill out the paperwork on a contract? Can always be answered. But it starts with you making the decision to become a real estate investor. So, I know that doesn't really answer your question, but that is the answer. You make a decision. So what are the qualifications? I'm going to tell you exactly what the qualifications are. Are you ready? Will, drive. That's it. Will and drive. That's it. You have to have the will to do it, and you have to have the drive to be self-motivated and do it. No one's going to wake you up in the morning and say you have to go out and call on 50 houses or add 200 to your deal machine. You have to decide every day that you're going to do it. So that's all there is to it. Make the decision, and then you move forward and do it. And if you have no money you don't have to ever take anybody's courses. You don't have to take anybody's coaching. If you have no resources, then you use YouTube University. That's what everybody says. That's where they start. Yes, you can cut the learning curve if you do coaching. You can cut the learning curve if you take someone's course. Or, I know people that take a bunch of courses, and each time they get a little bit out of it. All of that's fantastic. But if you have no resources and can't do any of it, you can still succeed to the top levels just by learning what you can and then learning by doing. Go out there and do it. So the question, and I forgot who said this originally, but it was actually a famous quote, and they said, the question is not who's going to let me, the question is who's going to stop me. And so that's the way you need to think of it. You make that decision, you go out to do it. It's not who's going to let you do this, it's who's going to stop me. All right, that's all I got for you guys today. I want you to think about that as your answer, because there are no qualifications. I'm a high school dropout. I dropped out of school in 11th grade. I have no further education other than, a self-education, but I have no more formal education than that. There is no official qualification. There is no criteria except will and drive. You have to make the decision and decide that this is what you want for your life. Do something today, even if it's just studying. Do something today that your future self is going to thank you for. And I thank you guys for watching these videos. Go ahead and click the like button so that I do know that you're out there. If you know somebody that you think will find value from these videos, please go ahead and share it with them. I'd greatly appreciate it. Helps me get the message out to more people. I thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on the next one. Have an absolutely fantastic day.